is right there. I was like about to start speaking and I looked up.
No, it's fine.
Hey everyone, welcome to Inquiring Minds Bookstore. Thanks for coming out tonight. I'm glad the weather cleared up. I was pretty nervous about it. It's like it's super rainy.
I know, no, it's fine.
You know, but yeah, thanks for coming out, and I'd like to welcome Stefan Bolz and Schenker. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, you're all more familiar with them than I am, but yeah, Stefan will be reading from his newest novel, his newest release, Six String, accompanied by music of a six-stringed instrument, which is pretty appropriate.
Oh, wow.
Try to tie those things together.
That's a good idea.
You know,
Wow.
in case I had to point it out. So yeah, we'll be doing 15% off of all of Stefan's books tonight, and if you need to use the bathroom, it is right there.
Don't go into the room on the right.
Yes.
Never go into the room on the right.
Like a Harry Potter room.
It's like...
Stay away from
No. You told me, so I'm just telling you.
It's just straight ahead, so...
Don't go in it.
You know all those stories when the kids, that's in that room.
So yeah, thank you for coming out.
Thanks for
Welcome
having
and
us.
enjoy.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
So, when I wrote the six string, at some point I was thinking about Sean, and I was like, oh, I want to, have like some kind of something with him because he's my buddy and friend and brother, and he had like a similar experience music-wise than Jennifer in the book, different but similar. So I was like, oh, maybe we should do something together. And here we are. So we don't, we're just gonna do our thing. I'm gonna read, Sean's gonna play, I'm gonna read, Sean's gonna play, then Sean's gonna play, I'm gonna read, so we're gonna mix it up. We might switch seats. Who knows?
Yeah, we might. We might have to come out there for a little while too.
Anything's possible in a
I've always
bookstore.
wanted to be like Bruce Springsteen and go into the audience and play anyway. So this is like a perfect opportunity to do it. Actually, my one and only chance.
You're gonna pull us
The
up
boss.
on stage?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So when we were talking about the book and the idea of this, I went down south for years touring as a musician, and so Jennifer's story really spoke to me even before Stefan wrote it. He had been telling me about the idea of the book, and some of the arc of the story just felt very familiar. And so I tried to pick some songs that I felt like would have some themes that would connect to the stories. If they don't, then they don't, and they're just songs, no big deal.
I can't believe we're doing this, so this is awesome.
Yeah, yeah. It beats painting, too, for sure. So this first song is a song called Before Too Late, and what do I say about this? Fate and destiny, I think, is something, at least in my short time on the planet, maybe we have a few of them that come our way. But I do feel like we have windows of opportunity to seize them. So that's sort of what this song's about. The evidence is clear, it's written all over your face. The morning that you hear destiny call, close your eyes and ears, avoid the ringing. mind's a ticking clock, your heart's a pendulum swinging. Fate's a flickering, fate's a flickering, a flickering flame. Don't let it burn out. Don't let it burn out. Don't let it burn out, for it's too late. Why don't you wise up to the silent voice in your head? Abandon your motives, your predictions, and everything that you've been spoon-fed. To chisel statue from stone takes the work of 1,000 men. Every time you look into the mirror, you should see staring back each and every one of them. Fate's a flickering, fate's a flickering, a flickering flame. Don't let it burn out. Don't let it burn out. Don't let it burn out, for it's too late.
Chapter 1. We always start at chapter 1 now. Runaway. My guitar seldom had all 6 strings. One was always missing, sometimes more than one. My uncle had given it to me when I was in 1st grade. It was a medium-sized one and I had trouble reaching all the way around it, never mind playing chords. It was purple with 2 large butterflies painted on either side of the sound hole. Decorated later with black marker by yours truly, turning butterflies into strange birds, then bats, and later on large black blobs. The ink of the marker would stick to my hands and forearms. I don't think anybody noticed. The surface was scratched up, beaten. I had sat on it, stood on it, rolled over on it, and dropped it from my bunk bed. It fell into the bathtub once, and the neighbor's dog dragged it across the dusty street of our trailer park. The fabric strap lost threads until it fell apart and was replaced by an old leather belt. But it was mine. Wholly mine. It moved 9 times with me. Or 10, I can't remember. There was a 2-day stay in a motel in Green River, Utah, where my father had taken me and my 2 brothers. The police came on the 2nd day and kicked in the door. At least that's what it sounded like. We were in the bathroom at the time. I sat on the toilet seat and my 2 brothers cowered in the empty bathtub, waiting for the yelling to stop. The overly nice lady from social services looked at me, then the guitar I held, and back at me. She made the same face I make when I eat something I don't like. "Please let me keep it," I whispered. I repeated it several times until she finally told me that I could keep it, at least for now. Each kid at the shelter had a raggedy teddy bear, a small stuffed horse or some kind of doll. I kept the guitar. It had one string left by then. You can't play a guitar with only one string, right?
Yes.
I'm just, the professional opinion here. My father went to jail and my mom into rehab. I was in 7th grade when we went back to my mother. She was sober and stayed that way until I was 16. We had moved into a small bungalow in Twin Falls, Idaho. Little Johnny, my youngest brother, had just turned 13. He did well at school, but he was quiet and rarely went out with friends, unlike my older brother Ben. Johnny was often sick, and I remember spending countless hours in the doctor's waiting room looking at a huge aquarium embedded in the wall. But Johnny had the sweetest voice. He sang with me at night. Someone had given me a set of old strings that we boiled in hot water. Afterwards, they sounded almost like new. Johnny and I sat under a comforter with a small flashlight. I played the guitar and we both sang. The Animals, Creedence Clearwater Revival, Sting, Queen, Alanis Morissette. We had 50 songs in our repertoire, easy. We got a gig at the local fair that spring and sang and played our hearts out in front of 15 people under umbrellas. Halfway through the 4th song, it rained so hard we had to leave the stage. Early that summer, I remember an empty, cloudless sky and a wind that made leaves dance in the air. Johnny was playing out back. He was always building some contraption out of other people's garbage, and he had taken the clothesline off one of the wheels and was climbing a tree with it. We don't know what he was doing up there, or why he took that thin rope with him, but my mother found him hanging from a branch upside down, entangled in the rope. She began drinking again at his funeral. The first few weeks after he died, I felt as if some part of me had been cut out. Someone had taken a sharp knife and carved it out of me, and now there was a missing piece, and I couldn't imagine myself going on without it. The pain was a clawed monster that gripped me in its arms like a child and wouldn't leave. It lay in bed with me at night and was there when I woke up in the morning. It came with me when I went grocery shopping, and it accompanied me to the bathroom. I had a series of images in my head during that time. One was of me standing at the stern of a large boat, maybe a cruise ship. We traveled somewhere in the Arctic. My breath was tiny ice crystals against the dark night sky. Then I have fallen from the boat into the water and nobody notices, nobody heard the splash. As I floated in the cold black water and I look up at the ship, its yellow lights spilling out from the cabins and people on it laugh and talk to each other as if nothing had happened, it moved away from me and disappeared into the night. The lights and the sounds faded with it. I felt utterly alone. The first time I played my guitar after Johnny's death, 2 strings broke. You want to sit? You want to just... Oh, okay. One snapped violently, leaving a red welt on my hand. The other came apart slowly, disintegrating over the course of a few minutes. E, A, G, and E were left. I wrote my first song that day. It wasn't a good song, but I simply couldn't bear the pain any longer. I needed to get it out of me, purge it, and put it somewhere it wouldn't hurt anymore. I thought the sound hole of my guitar was as good a place as any. So I wrote a song, and I played it on 4 strings, hoping to take the pain away. Tears ran down my face when I wrote it, and I had to stop a few times to catch my breath when I sang it for the first time. It was lousy poetry, and the pain didn't leave. It didn't disappear into the sound hole, and it wasn't released into the world. It stayed with me. I feel it lingering still. I don't remember Johnny's face anymore, but I can hear his beautiful, clear voice next to me when I play sometimes. My older brother Ben enlisted in the army. "Take care of yourself," is all he said when he left on the bus to Fort Sill for basic training. You'd think it would have been quiet in our house now that Mom and I were alone, but it wasn't quiet. It got loud, very loud. There was a place she went to when she was drunk, a place she couldn't remember afterwards, somewhere around the middle part of the gin bottle. The top part made her talkative, the middle part made her scream, the bottom made her pass out. I pleaded with her for weeks. I begged her. I held her. Then I ran away. She was asleep when I left the house. I thought about leaving her a note, but I didn't. I couldn't. I knew if I had started writing it, I would have said things I couldn't take back. Like a thief in the night, I took my guitar and threw a few things into my backpack. I snuck out of the house at first light and walked across the bridge over the Snake River. Interstate 84 was only a few miles away. Part of me wanted to turn back. I was the only one left and my mom could probably use my help. But I kept walking, as if a great force inside me set one foot in front of the other without my doing. I hitched a ride to a rest area less than 10 miles away. The very kind older man, who had told me initially that he'd only get as far as the next exit, said I had have a better chance to catch another ride at the rest stop rather than an exit, so he drove me another few miles to the next one. He didn't ask questions. But he did point out that I only had 4 strings on my guitar, and that wasn't the way it was supposed to be, so he gave me $10 to buy strings. I came very close to asking him if he could drive me back home.
We've been wanting to do this for a while.
We've been talking about it over lunch for a long time.
Yes.
And then you play that song.
Just give me a second while I get this into tune.
Very complicated arrangements, as you can see. You know, it's the light show, the
Sound system.
the backup dancers are in the back.
Oh, right.
You just don't see them. In that other room, you know, on the right side there.
So I was thinking of a few things as I was listening to that again, after having read it. But boiling strings is a thing that a lot of musicians do to save money. So you boil your guitar strings, you can play them again, and bass players do it a lot more than guitar players. But my bass player did that a lot years ago in a band I played with in Georgia. And you know, because bass strings are like $50 or $60 a pack, so.
Is that what it is?
Right.
That's true.
But just in relation to the next song I'm going to play, I lost my dad going on, I think, 9 years? 10 years. There you go. So, and I really feel like, you know, besides my family, my children who helped me get through it, the guitar and writing was really my only way out. So that section about the sound hole, and I really could relate to that. So it feels different now playing this song than it did when I wrote it. But that's where this song was sort of born. It was really the first time I had felt like I kind of had a connection to my father's spirit kind of tugging at me. And finally, like, in a place where I could give in to actually allowing it to be. Anyway, it's called The Coast is Clear. Sitting on my balcony, a world outstretched for me to see. Something's missing now that you're gone. Nothing's right if it's all wrong. Just need a shoulder to lean on, somewhere that I can mend my heart. Travel the whole world over, finding myself back at the start. Are you everywhere now? On the streets where I walk, in my dreams when I'm in the darkness, Are you everywhere now? Will you reappear when I'm strong enough and the coast is clear? I just get on my bike and go. Hit the Wild West, join the rodeo. Settle in to my own one-man show. All I know right now is I don't know. Just need a place to lay my head down. Somewhere that I can feel your light. Every day grows longer without you by my side, saying it'll be alright. It'll be alright. Are you everywhere now? On the streets where I walk, in my dreams when I'm in the darkness. Are you everywhere now? Holding my hand right there like you promised. Are you everywhere now? Will you reappear when I'm strong enough and the coast is clear? Are you everywhere now? On the streets where I walk, in my dreams when I'm in the darkness. Are you everywhere now? Holding my hand right there like you promised. Are you everywhere now? Will you reappear when I'm strong enough and the coast is clear? It's what I'm hoping for. You'll be everywhere, yeah, everywhere.
So originally I was planning on reading something really dark after this. A scene that is not very pleasant for Jen, our main character. But then I decided, nah, let's read something a little lighter. So she now made her way from Twin Falls, Idaho to San Francisco. I sat, my back leaning against a tree, letting the sun warm my face for a while. Sorry, I sat up so close to you before, a voice said. I opened my eyes. It was the fiddler. You have a nice voice, he said. I squinted my eyes to see him better. Thanks. You from around here? He asked. No. You? Kind of. Oakland, across the bay. My name is Dylan. He stretched out his hand, or at least that's what it looked like. I still could only see his silhouette. Sorry, he said, and moved slightly to the right so that his shadow covered my face. I'm Jen, I said, and shook his hand. You mind if I sit? It's a free country. He sat down next to me, his fiddle case between his legs. He didn't have a backpack, only a small duffel bag. Where are you from? He asked. Twin Falls, Idaho. Wow, that's far. How long have you been here? Just a day. Where you headed? You ask a lot of questions, I said. Sorry, he replied. I didn't mean to be nosy. But you are. I guess. I like to find out what I can about people. Why is that? I think people are interesting. I'm sorry to disappoint you, but I'm pretty boring, I replied. I doubt that. You don't know me. True, but I know something about you. Like what? You're wearing new clothes, maybe not completely new, but there's a label still sticking out of your back pants pocket. Your guitar is ancient. You have an awesome voice. You're not from the West Coast. Your backpack is new. So is your sleeping bag and your mat. And yet you don't look like you've got a lot of money. You played for the kids for free. You were following me? Yes. What the hell? Don't worry, there's no need to panic. I'm not a serial killer or anything. He's 18, by the way.
How old is she?
She's 16.
60, okay.
Well, that's a relief. I mean, any serious serial killer would obviously announce his presence to the victim by stating his intention, so I'm glad you told me you're not one. Funny. I had to laugh, even though I didn't want to. Why are you laughing? I don't know, but it feels good, I said truthfully. You want to ask me something? He said. Like what? I don't know, but I was asking all those questions and probably annoyed you a little, so I thought you might return the favor. Why are you here? I asked. That is a complicated question and might need a more long-winded answer. Do you see me going anywhere soon? I don't know. In this town, a lot of people come and go. I caught a glimpse of a serious face. Then he smiled again. So, I asked eventually, so what? Why are you here? I'm here because there's nothing for me to do in Oakland. What about your friends? My friends all went to college. I didn't. My mom's gone. She died when I was very young. I'm sorry to hear that. It's okay. My dad is working or busy with my stepmom. They recently married. Why didn't you go to college? He paused and looked down at his hands before he answered. His fingers were long and thin and looked fragile. I'm dyslexic, he said. Like seriously dyslexic. You know, lawnmower dyslexic. So I have trouble reading and writing and remembering things, and because I have trouble reading and writing and remembering things, I barely make it through high school. I work in the container shipyard, the early shift, 5 to 1. After work, I come here and I play. I'm sorry, I said. No, you can't be sorry. You're not allowed to be sorry. Sorry? Ha! He pointed at me. I smiled. What about you? He asked. You weren't finished. I wasn't. No, that wasn't long-winded. It was just a paragraph. So you're a writer? He said. No, I do some writing, but I wouldn't consider myself a writer. How about a songwriter? He asked. I haven't gotten paid for singing yet, so no, I'm not a songwriter. You've written songs? Yes, I just told you. There, you're a songwriter. Aren't there any treatments for dyslexia? Yes. Why didn't your parents pursue them? They did, but I was a tough case. I was stubborn. Stubborn? Yes, I was unwilling to learn. At least that's what one of the doctors said. How did you learn to play the fiddle? From the woman who lived above us. She was a violin teacher. We could hear her students practice every day. And nothing. One day I went up there and knocked on her door. I asked her if she would teach me. How old were you? 6 or 7, I think. Isn't that a bit young to play? Not really. I was a good student. Did your parents pay for it? No, they couldn't afford to pay for it. How did you get lessons then? Mrs. Hayashi, that was her name, told my parents that she would teach me if I would walk her dog after school for half an hour. He didn't say anything else for a while. The sun was warm on my face and I liked the sound of his voice. Is that it? I said. What do you mean? He asked. The story? Is that the end of the story? Well, yes, that's the end of the part where I told you about how I started to play the fiddle. What about the rest? I went up there every day after school. First I walked the dog and then I learned how to play the fiddle. Can you read music? Of course. How can you read music and not words? I honestly don't know. I wish I could read music, I said. I can teach you. Do you have a dog? A dog? Why? I could walk it for half an hour in return. Clever! Anyway, it goes on and on for a while, so... I just want to go back to the dark part, so...
We could do a dark set.
No, you can do it next time, then I'll go dark. Not dark, but more intense.
I like it.
You have to talk.
Yes, you have to
Talk
talk
for a while?
Yeah, you talk. You should talk in German.
Oh no. The only person that would understand would be Anne. And she would laugh, and then people would think, "What are you talking about?"
Right.
But I have to do a shout out to Greg and Anne because we are in this writing group together. And chapter 1, the first chapter I read, they all went through it and critiqued it. And while I read it, I remember Greg's words. You know, shorten it, tighten it up.
Those were the good words.
Yes, yes. No, definitely. So, thank you. Do you need more?
No, good. No, it's a perfect introduction, actually. This song probably was the one I think when you were telling me about the story that felt the most in terms of my own writing, closest to Jen's trip. A song called His Own Cross. My fingers will just pretend it's spring. It'd be really nice. They're feeling much more winter than spring. Let's try that again. Left home when he was 23, headed west for that California dream. Couple $100 tucked inside his shoe. At the time was the best he could do. Hitched a ride in the middle of the night in a pickup truck with no dash lights. Driver turned to him, stopped and asked, "Son, where you going and why so fast?" He said, "I'm heading out, I wanna be free. Drinking beers in a small town's just not me. Every day I get this feeling in my gut. Wanna hold on to that gold before it rusts. Out on the highway, innocence will be lost. I've got an intuition that he will bear his own cross." First time he'd ever been out of state, felt like Steve McQueen in The Great Escape. On his own he'd stand tall like a man, hitching his way across Nebraska's grasslands. Pitched a tent as the temperature began to drop. That Rocky Mountain snowfall never stopped. Kept the picture of home near the pages of his heart. One chapter ends and another starts. Out on the highway, innocence will be lost. Got an intuition he will bear his own cross. And every day bleeds into the next. There's no time to come up for air. Take every sign as though it'll be the last. Lay out your cards. Let go of the past. Met an elder tribesman blind since birth. Asked, is there really heaven here on earth? The boy helped paint a still frame in his mind, so the blind man could see heaven from time to time. Finally to the cliffs along Route 1. Closed his eyes, smelled the breeze and felt the sun. Been nearly 3 months since he had left. Once gone, you can never go back again. Out on the highway, innocence will be lost. I've got an intuition, baby, that we all bear our own cross.
So when in The Empire Strikes Back, when Luke goes to Yoda, right, on the planet Bygrade, and Yoda appears, and in the beginning we don't know it's Yoda, right? We don't know this is the Jedi Master. We think it's just this little guy. Right? Anyway. So this is much further along in the story. Jennifer has won voice lessons by this elderly lady that she's not sure what this is going to be about. It's a little, she thinks she's a little off. So I'm also going to use the same voice that I used for Dylan, because I only have the two voices. You know, I have her voice is fine, but then I have the low voice as the other voice, which will be now an elderly lady. Just so you know, the two are different. I just couldn't think about any other. You'll get it. I knocked on her door just before 10 and she opened right away. I stretched out my hand to greet her. She didn't take it, but instead held my shoulders and kissed both of my cheeks. Sorry for yesterday. I was still so sleepy. I must have sounded very disoriented. I apologize. That's not a nice way to talk to someone on the phone. It's fine, I said with a wide smile. I'm glad you came, she said, leading me into her living room. There must have been 3 or 4 layers of thick Persian rugs on the floor. The room was opulently decorated with golden statues of angels and cherubim interspersed with framed pictures of jazz events from the 50s and 60s. She took my jacket. Is that you? I asked, pointing at one of the smaller pictures. Yes. I was 18 when I auditioned to become a backup singer for Louis, she said when I kept staring at the pictures. Armstrong? Yes. I wasn't much older than you are now, and I came from a very poor family. My dad was a fisherman in Louisiana. We had barely enough to eat, but I had a dream, and I didn't stop dreaming it just because we didn't have any money. I followed her into the kitchen. Would you like some tea? She asked, filling a pot with water. I'm making some for myself. Sure, thank you. So tell me about yourself. What would you like to know? I would like to know everything. Everything? Yes, I'll make tea and you tell me what you've been up to the last 16 years. I had no clue where to begin, so I told her about the time after I had run away. She poured the hot water into 2 cups and sat down across from me. Sugar? Yes, please. Continue. I told her about my time in Portland, how I got to San Francisco and all the way to that day. She sipped her tea and nodded, once in a while asking a question or two. So now tell me why you ran away. The question caught me off guard. I couldn't take my mom screaming anymore. Why did she scream? What did she scream about? I don't know, everything, anything? Like what? Like clean your room or do your homework or do something with your life? And are you? Are you what? Doing something with your life? I don't know. If you don't know, how can your life know? I don't understand. Mrs. Jennings had a clock hanging above her stove. We've been sitting here for a half hour. I began to wonder when my lesson would start. How about your dad? Do you see him? No. Why? He's in prison? Can't you visit him? I don't know, my mom said he doesn't want to see us. And you believe her? I don't know. Do you miss him? She got up and got a box of cookies from a cupboard. Would you like a cookie? Is that good for my voice? It's good for your soul, and what's good for your soul is also good for your voice. She put one on the small plate in front of me. I usually dunk those in milk. How about a glass? Isn't that bad for your vocal cords or something? No, she said dismissively. She ate her cookie with obvious delight. Mrs. Jennings. Yes, dear. I was just wondering when my voice lesson would start. Start? We're almost done. We have exactly 12 minutes left. I suggest you use the time wisely to tell me more about yourself because you haven't even scratched the surface yet. I'm sorry, I thought I was here to learn how to sing. She looked at me for a while. I felt more and more awkward. Jennifer. Yes? Your voice does not matter. What? Well, it's not that it doesn't matter, but your voice is fine. Yes, you'll have to work on your upper ranges a bit, and over time you'll develop them more, but I'm not worried about that. I didn't get it. I wondered if I should just get up and leave. This was clearly a mistake. So you want to be a singer? Yes, I replied. Why? Because I want to sing? Why? I don't know, I like to sing. That's not good enough. I want to make people feel good. Nonsense. I felt like I couldn't breathe for a moment. I was looking for words, but there weren't any. Why do you want to be a singer, Jennifer? She looked straight at me. Because I don't know how to do anything else. You're young, you can still finish school and go to college. Maybe you'll be a teacher, or maybe you'll marry someone and become a mother. No. I shook my head. Why? Tears filled my eyes. I don't know if it was out of frustration or anger or both. I don't know. It's not a hard question. Why do you want to be a singer, Jennifer? My nose started running. I wiped it away with my hand. Mrs. Jennings didn't offer me a tissue. Why do you live on the streets, perform every day for a lousy hot meal, travel 1,000 miles with your guitar, get beaten and eat beans out of a can so you can blame your mom? Is that it? You blame your mother for what she did, how she treated you? Stop! She should have kicked you out of the house herself, but she was too weak to do it. Stop! I got up. I'm leaving. Oh, you're so good at it. You're so good at leaving. Why do you want to play music, Jennifer? Because I have to! I screamed. I have to! I can't bear it otherwise. I have to let it out. I have to get the pain away from me. I have to get the pain away from me. I sobbed. I didn't see her, but suddenly felt her arms holding me. Shh, it's okay now, shh. I sobbed into her arms. Come now. She led me into the living room and we sat at her couch while she held me. I'm sorry, dear, she said over and over. She gave me a tissue and I blew my nose. I couldn't stop crying. It's not about your voice, she said after a while. Her hand rested on my back. Your voice is beautiful, but there are many talented singers out there who have a beautiful voice. It's not enough, not anymore. You have to give something that nobody else has, and that something is you. If you think writing a song and then performing it is anything but bearing your soul completely and deeply to those around you, you are mistaken and your journey will be fruitless. We sat in silence for a while. All I heard was the ticking of a wooden clock in the corner. How do I do that? Know yourself, become aware of yourself, see what makes you angry or sad or jealous, what makes you joyful or happy. Write it down. Who are you? Ask the question, and let your writing and your singing be fueled by your question. People don't want fake. They think they do, but they really don't. They want authentic, they want spirited and honest and brave. Don't hide behind your shortcomings. Let whoever you are shine through all that, and people will recognize you as one of them. She got up and steadied herself. And that, my dear, was voice lesson number 1, she said. I wiped my face and couldn't help but smile at her. I shook my head. What's so funny? Nothing, your way of teaching is different. Yeah, when you're my age, you can't deal with all the fluff anymore. You have to get straight to the point or get the hell out. So when will I see your sweet face again? Will there be more tears? I don't know, it's up to you, but maybe we can work on the upper registers next time.
We all need that teacher.
I know,
Right?
too. It's based on the Hemingway quote. The Hemingway quote is, there's nothing to writing. You basically just sit in front of a typewriter and bleed. And that's what it is. That's really what it is. If you cry, your audience will cry. So, I don't know, should I cry?
Amazing.
I cried writing, so... So I have one more after this one, after Sean sings. Then he has 2 more songs.
Yeah.
And then I have 5 more.
That's set 1, by the way. That's right.
Out of 5 sets. If the chair gets too uncomfortable, you can move to another one.
Okay, that's close enough.
That's the one.
I've only a few years beneath my belt. There's been no free rides here, just the hand I was dealt. Maybe in the next lifetime I'll live like a king. Servants will heed my call and I won't do a thing. I won't do a thing. But for now I'll take a match and watch my past burn. Set fire to my mistakes, hope that I've learned. Then I'll come up for air with my chips all cashed in. Just some scars and memories across my weathered skin. My weathered skin. My weathered skin. Once you hear that voice, offers you no choice, you gotta grab it and run. Ain't no time for plans, you just take a stand. You grab it and run. You grab it and run. Grab it and run. We all get a crystal ball that helps us look back. And just like Judgment Day, it holds all the facts. There ain't no time machine to see what's down the line. So take it as it comes, one day at a time. One day at a time. One day at a time. Once you hear that voice, offers you no choice, you gotta grab it and run. Ain't no time for plans, you just take a stand. You grab it and run. You grab it and run. Grab it and run. Once you hear that voice, offers you no choice, you gotta grab it and run. Ain't no time for plans, you just take a stand. You grab it and run. Grab it and run. Grab it and run.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Right?
Right?
What you just read? Yeah. Awesome.
Good choice. Offers you no choice.
That's it, man.
So she's at the very bottom, the lowest point of her journey. The chapter's called Gone Dark. When it started to rain, I sat on my small piece of cardboard inside a passageway somewhere. I was so hungry I couldn't think straight. I didn't know what to do, so I put my bare hand out to beg for money. I didn't have a sign or a container where people could put it. I sat there hiding my tears and hoping people would notice them at the same time. Whenever someone would give me something, I whispered a thank you and I'd put the money away into my jacket pocket. When it stopped raining, I walked to a grocery store and bought 2 cans of beans, a large baguette, and a quart of milk. I forgot that I didn't have my pocket knife anymore and couldn't open the can. I asked the homeless man if he had a knife. He sifted through his bags of belongings and handed me an actual can opener. I didn't know where else to go and asked him if it was okay if I sat there for a while. He nodded. He was drinking cheap vodka and wasn't very talkative. When I ate, I thought about Dylan and of the time when he ordered the beans at the Mexican restaurant and told me that those were his favorite food. I cried some more. My tears dripped into the can. The baguette was still warm and smelled and tasted delicious. I offered a piece to the man. He took it. He had a tattoo on the inside of his forearm. For those I love, I will sacrifice. You were in the war? I asked. He nodded. My brother is in the army. He went to Fort Sill, I think. Not sure where that is. Oklahoma, he said. Oh, okay. Where were you? Afghanistan, he said. I nodded. Why are you homeless? I asked. I couldn't hold a job after I got home. I'm sorry, I said. I handed him the can of beans. He ate a few spoonfuls and gave it back to me. Thanks, he said. Why are you homeless? I didn't say anything for a while, mostly because I was thinking about his question. I ran away from home, I said finally. Where's that? Twin Falls, Idaho. My name is Jennifer Dalton. Charlie. Charles McGee, private first class. Are you still a soldier? No. I was honorably discharged 6 months ago, but I haven't found a better title yet. He smiled ever so slightly. He sifted through his bag again and pulled out a fleece blanket. Here, he said, you're shivering. The blanket was dusty and had a few burn marks on it, but it was warm and I didn't care. What do you want to be when you grow up? He asked. I shook my head. It was painful to think about what I wanted to do because in my mind I was out of options. To sing for people was a dream so far removed from where I was, I couldn't imagine ever going back there. I want to sing for people, I said despite of it. That's good. You can sing something if you want. I don't. He nodded, and we didn't talk for a while. We handed the beans back and forth between us. I got robbed, I said. I didn't know why, but I think I knew that I needed to tell someone. Did you get hurt? Just my forearm and my knees. You okay now? It still hurts a little when I move it a certain way, but I'm okay. Were you hurt during the war? I was lucky, he answered after a while, but there were many others who weren't. Your friends? He nodded again. I'm very sorry, I said. Do you know a soldier's song? He asked. I thought about it. The only one I know is Traveling Soldier by the Dixie Chicks, I said. I know that one. Would you sing it for me? I wouldn't have done it, but the way he looked at me, I couldn't say no. I saw the pain behind the mask of toughness and dirt and an unkempt beard. I nodded and started to sing. My voice was very rusty in the beginning and got only slightly better the more I sang. When I came to the refrain, never gonna hold the hand of another guy, I started to cry. I didn't want to, but I couldn't stop myself. I was suddenly taken by a wave of emotion that suffocated my voice. The man handed me a crumpled paper napkin. The song was supposed to be for me, not for you, he said. I smiled and saw his eyes smile for a moment as well. You have a beautiful voice, he said. I'd like to come to one of your concerts one day. Yeah, right, I replied. I don't think that's ever going to happen. But his eyes wouldn't let go of mine, and I saw something in them that told me that he meant it. You think your life is hard? He said. Do you? I didn't know how to answer. Something in his face changed. It became harder. You've seen your best friends die? He continued. Not just one, many. So many that you don't have a best friend anymore, who you can tell that the others are dead. No, I replied. Then don't tell me you can't get it together. What the hell are you doing here anyway? You got robbed, so what? Get up and get the F to where you need to go. You're not allowed to complain. His face was red from anger. I'm 17, I said. I don't know why I thought I needed to defend myself. So what? I was 19 when I killed someone for the first time. F you think you're traumatized? Bullshit. I got up. Sorry, I said. Get away from me. I handed him the blanket. Keep the freaking blanket, he yelled. I walked away. After a few feet, I turned around and saw him hold the bottle to his mouth and drink. I was shaking. I walked through the city, wrapped in my blanket. Once the adrenaline had worn off, I was able to separate what he had said from the intense outburst. He was right. I was whining. I was spiraling downward on my way to becoming someone I didn't want to be. Certainly I wasn't as traumatized as he was, but I was in such shock that I couldn't think about what to do next. Getting back on my feet somehow wasn't an option anymore. On that high note,
That's kind of funny, man. Well, I'll try to, move forward.
move it up a little
I'll
bit.
move forward because she's not done. She's not done there, right? I mean, no, this is still in like a wacky tune.
Oh, that's why. Okay, I get it. I get it.
That's,
So in this book also there are 10 songs because she wrote songs while she was on this journey. And so it's just like a poem kind of, so I'm gonna read that at the end as an ending.
I'm gonna play a different song. Is that
Play
okay?
whatever you want.
No, don't do that.
As long as it's gone, we ain't done. No, just kidding. Just do whatever you want.
Well, I just think this one is a little more fitting.
Okay.
This is a song called "The Return." I don't know. I feel like
You hopeful?
Yeah.
This was the end, by the way. The end of the book was that sentence that I just.
Oh my god, you got me for a second. I was like, no.
I haven't played this one in a while, so. Open my eyes to daylight. I'm at my best when I can. Plant my feet on this spinning wheel. Hold on tight for the ride. In the evening I feel it. When the wars of my day are done. Maybe someday you'll recognize me. For who I really am. Till then, I'll keep dreaming hard. There's no sign here telling me to stop. Takes a lot to give in and return. Till then, I'll keep moving on. With no one here telling me to stop. Takes a lot to give in and return. Holding tight through the afternoon. Doubt she grins at my side. Plays her silly games and teases me. Tries to pry her way inside. Till then, I'll keep dreaming hard. There's no sign here telling me to stop. Takes a lot to give in and return. Till then, I'll keep moving on. With no one here telling me to stop. Takes a lot to give in and return. Worked so hard, so long. All the bumps and bruises make you who you are. Your walls will crumble, coming out of this bubble. Raise your glass up to the sky. Till then, I'll keep dreaming hard with no one here telling me to stop.
All right, this is the end, my friend. This is the song. I'm gonna read a different one now that Sean played a different song. I'm gonna throw the whole program out of the window.
Oh man!
Like totally. Let's see. This song is called "The Lost Children," and she writes it somewhere in the middle of her journey when she's in San Francisco in a shelter with youth, with other kids. That the basic goal of the shelter is to get kids off the street. There's no other goal. They just want to get them off the street. And she writes that song for them. It's called "The Lost Children." Will you find me in the cold night? Look for me in the dark, while I'm waiting for the sunlight, for your everlasting arms. Will you look me in the eye? Will you ever wonder why? Will you find me? Will you hold me? Or will you slowly pass me by? You believe what you see, but you see never me. Only what you think of me, never truly who I'd be if you really look at me. Will I meet your expectations? Will you see my tribulations? Suffocate in allegations, worthy of your accusations? Will I find a helping hand, or will you tell me that I'm banned from your house, from your heart? How long will you keep us apart? You believe what you see, but you see never me. Only what you think of me, never truly who I'd be if you'd really look at me. For I am wicked to you, cruel, a sneaking, thieving, stealing ghoul, a heartless monster, or at best, slightly worse than all the rest. Socially unacceptable, almost imperceptible. I'm everything you think you don't want to be, for I am lost to you. I am what you will never be. I am free. You believe what you see, but you see never me. Only what you think of me, never truly who I'd be if you'd only look at me.
One more and then
Last one?
call it a day. I'll play one more.
How about we ain't done?
And then we'll say,
We ain't done?
oh, I'll do We Ain't Done. I'd love to play
Alright.
We Ain't Done. Yeah,
Even though we're done, so it's like
we're
a
done, but we ain't done.
oxymoron. Oh, that's not. So if you know anybody that could set those to music, you know, tell them about my name.
Alright, Sean doesn't want to do it?
He does,
He's busy with-
I do.
He became a painter. He's a painter now. Yeah, he's painting big walls
Come on,
with
babe.
red and gray and white,
I'm going to be a builder tomorrow.
and a builder.
I'm going to be a builder tomorrow.
Sean has some music. We could use a writer. But somebody's painting all the time too.
Yes.
Oh yeah, funny, ha ha.
Good job. Good job.
So, you know, the title of Stefan's book, Six String, yes, and right, 1 string, 4 string, 2 string, but maybe it's one of the things we first started talking about when we were talking about doing something together, because I have this song called We Ain't Done, and it talks a lot about 6 string. And anyway, I bring this guitar. I rarely play it anymore. Just kind of sits in the back now as a backup guitar. But I bought that guitar when I was 19, and it's kind of traveled all over with me. And so I wrote this song sort of about that guitar, but it made me think a lot about the book, and that's between that and something that we were eating at the bistro just made us start to think about doing this. So
Half Moon.
we've gone to the bistro so much together that I actually know what he's going to order, and he could order for me. We could actually like
Salmon hash.
there it is. Anyway.
I don't know if Sean knows. He
Salmon
hasn't said what you.
Oh, half moon, extra jalapenos. And we kind of bounce back and forth between who's going to drink regular coffee and who's drinking decaf at the moment.
Right.
For a little while, he went through decaf, and I was. Now we're switching a little bit, but anyway, so don't go. We ain't done.
It's true.
Life sometimes skips a beat, like a child throwing stones on the water. The rippling of all your years suddenly is crystal clear in the image staring back at you. Like a tree that shades a patch of moss, time just flies, creeps up on us. All at once you recognize what fell short, what survives. How long have we been on this track? I can't tell what's coming down the line. Baby, I've got your back. We spent in the southern sun, you were by my side, I was on the run. But your six strings always guide me, we ain't done. Blink away intended plans, 'cause in our youth we're just too wild to stop. It really ain't nobody's fault, growing wise just can't be taught. You hear a bell, it makes you run a 10-yard dash, now 20 years gone. Get it while the getting's good, it's something that you always understood. How long have we been on this track? I can't tell what's coming down the line. Baby, I've got your back. Days we spent in the southern sun, you were by my side, I was on the run. But your six strings always guide me, we ain't done. Your six strings always guide me, we ain't done. Six strings always guide me, we ain't done.
Woo! Let's start over. So thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'm trying to sneak behind you.
It's great.
I just want to say thank you again. That was really fun.
Awesome.
I want to make the announcement that that was like the most fun event
Thanks.
Yeah, you two should have like your own podcast or something. Like some comedy podcast. I think it would work. Yeah, and thanks everyone for coming out tonight. I'm gonna. Yeah, and
What'd you show?
When your eyes are closed.
the books again are 15% off. So if you'd like to grab a copy of any of Stefan's books tonight, then now's a chance. And do you have your CD?
I don't have
Okay, so no CD. Sorry.
Just buy 2 books. So.
But yeah, thanks.
Thank you for having us.
That was
Thank
really
you.
great.
Thank you. Awesome. Thank you.